So, that itinerary you're making, I'm willing to bet like a gazillion yen that it's a proper omnishambles. I mean, I can virtually guarantee that right now you're making one of these common major blunders, but it doesn't have to be that way. So listen up. We'll start with the first day because 9 times out of 10, I'll look at someone's plans for the initial 24 hours in Japan and find it funnier than 30 minutes listening to Michael McIntyre, although that's not really a very high bar, is it? For example, after arriving in Japan in the morning, you've got time tickets for that shiny attraction at 2 p.m, sake tasting at 4, a dinner reservation at 7, as well as that 90-minute journey from airport to hotel. Kudos on packing in the experiences. But that kind of caper comes at a cost. A couple of years ago, I was awake for over 30 hours with a long-haul flight. And then straight after that, I took a domestic flight into Osaka, just so I could see the world's greatest frontman. Was he biblical? No doubt about it. But the question is, how much of that can I remember? Well, I recall being tired and the sound system being run by amateurs, but that's about it. So do yourself a favour, stop kidding around and set a baby school target for your arrival day. Get to the hotel in one piece, preferably wearing matching shoes. That should probably do it for you, unless of course you're Superman, and even he kind of got the underwear thing really messed up, didn't he? I can see you right there, right now, adding a 3-hour Shinkansen journey to a whole other city after that long flight. Just put your fingers down, step away from the keyboard and be done with it. Whenever I review people's itineraries, it's very obvious just how hard they've worked on planning, and it's no doubt the same for you. But I do have one question. Do you know the difference between work and play? Because if you've scheduled every day of your trip in minuscule detail, complete with hourly play-by-plays, well, we need to have a serious talk. Have you perhaps heard of a thing called life? You know, the thing with chance encounters, hot tips and Uber recommendations? Because as soon as you arrive, random opportunities, invites from fellow travellers and news of unknown spots are going to be smacking you in the face like a cold, sopping wet haddock. If I think back on trips I've done, unexpected events are very often the absolute highlights. I've been invited to riverside barbecues and leatherwork craft experiences. I've got recommendations for awesome attractions that I would have otherwise skipped. And then I've even had my photo taken with a dog on top of Koyasan. And here's the thing, supergluing myself to a rigid schedule would have put a stop to all of that stuff before the dog could even have put on some makeup. So ask yourself this question. Do you want to be crying yourself to sleep because you missed priests playing a game of keepy uppy just so you could stick to a rigid plan? No, I didn't think so, which is why you should keep some slack in your schedule, because luck rewards flexible travellers. One of the ways you can quickly improve any itinerary is by joining an expert guide to show you around your destination. And this brings me to today's sponsor, Magical Trip. If you're visiting Kyoto, do you fancy a deep dive into the local food culture with a tour around Nishiki Market? Of course you do. And yes, I'm also making myself hungry here. Or are you in Osaka? How about you pedal through the highlights of the city with a cycling tour? Or maybe you're in Nara, where you want to uncover some hidden gems that most tourists completely overlook. Well, these are just a few of the amazing options open to you with Magical Trip. And they have tours in lots of other cities too. One thing I really like about Magical Trip is that they deliberately keep their tour groups small. It's not always the case with tour companies. This means that you're going to have plenty of time to ask their expert guides all of your difficult questions about the place you're visiting, the history, the culture, really just about anything you can think of. And with a small group, it's easy to make friends with fellow travellers along the way. So, if you're feeling like you could do with a friendly face to show you around, go and check out the tours that Magical Trip can offer you. I put the link in the pinned comment, as well as a coupon code, or you can just scan the QR code on screen now. There's a knock-on effect of over-planning, and this won't be obvious to you until it's too late. So let me pose another question about your trip. Are you coming to Japan to take part in a marathon? Sounds easy, right? Of course not. But you'd be shocked at how many schedules I look through and remember how often I used to fall asleep on the bullet train, because in the past I used to stack up the destinations and hit as many of them as I could fit into one day, but I was often too tired to properly enjoy them. And this can be a double facepalm mistake too if the place that you're looking forward to visiting happens to be scheduled for day 4 or day 5. I mean, that's right when fatigue usually starts to hit. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to lots of places. Just be sensible about it. Don't start eating a horse, because I guarantee that halfway through you're going to find you're not quite as hungry as you thought you were. To stop fatigue building up on your trip, it makes sense to use the 2-1 rule, meaning have 2 busy days followed by 1 slower recovery day. Even if your plan is well paced, you might still fall into the boy band trap. You know how those wannabes love to prance around about on stage pretending to be proper artists? Well, think of your itinerary as one of those dancers. It's up, it's down, it's spin around here, it's go back, up and down and up again, just for the fun of it. And this sort of routing chaos always gives me a headache. If you want to do a buffet trip across Japan, hitting multiple destinations like this, make the most of your time by visiting spots along a straight line. You can get what's called an open jaw air ticket, meaning you arrive and leave from different airports. This way you never double back on yourself. You might be thinking, Andrew, I can take the Shinkansen, everything's fast, it's all good. I don't mind doing human pinball across the country. If you truly want to watch the country going by for hours on end, go for it. But there is, in my opinion, a better way, and that is to break your journey by visiting one of the country's many hidden gems along the route. Between Hakodate and Tokyo, you could stop by Hiraizumi or Matsushima, and between Osaka and Tokyo, Hikone is ready and waiting for you. Whatever you do, plan to pick up a bento to eat on the Shinkansen if you're travelling across meal times, or schedule a stop somewhere to grab something in or near the station. You need to keep your energy up for that boy band routine. Don't forget about that. Okay, we're halfway through straightening out your schedule, so take a break for a moment and go drop me a thumbs up so I know this little chat has been helpful. You should also know that you can get lots of extra tips, recommendations and advice every month in my insider email. It's completely free and it's an excellent way of researching for your trip over time rather than cramming all of your planning into a couple of weeks and having a heart attack. I've got the link in the pinned comment, or you can scan this QR code on screen now. So we've covered some of the common ways your itinerary can career off the road in general terms, but now let's get into the nitty-gritty of specific planning fails. Because it seems like an unusual activity is becoming popular. Often when people work with me on their Japan plans, they've already set aside a day or two for crowd surfing. First up, it's Arashiyama in Kyoto, the Sunday after you arrive. And the following Saturday, it's Hakone near the Monstropolis. Have you figured it out yet? I mean, it's like you're asking for trouble. Japanese really don't do the have a lie-in on Saturdays and Sundays. They're often out and about somewhere simply because they don't get to use all their vacation days, which means that those super hot dog tourist hotspots are places to avoid at the weekend. So go on a weekday when domestic tourists are back at the office drinking Yakult or whatever it is they do there. So here's a fun fact. It's possible to be asleep at the wheel at the same time as being off your face on Marmite. True story. But what's the Japan planning equivalent of that? Well, pull up your itinerary right now and let me ask you one question. Do you have any days where you've written something like Nara and Uji, or Hiroshima and Miyajima? Because if the answer is yes, prepare to be hunted down by the deer for crimes against World Heritage, because you don't simply do those places in one day. I mean, what were you thinking? In Hiroshima, the Atomic Bomb Museum almost requires a slow visit because it's designed to absolutely ruin your day, and for good reason. And at Miyajima, you will totally regret rushing around in one afternoon. Now, it's the same deal for Nara and Uji. These are not fast food destinations. They're Michelin-starred spectacles and best consumed slowly. I've held off as long as I could for this one, but I've got to say it. 90% of people make this unbelievably fatal error, and no, they don't get crushed under the weight of their own suitcase. It's not that thing. Remember those World Heritage sites I just mentioned? Well, Japan has a lot of them, but how many of them are in Tokyo? No, Team Labs isn't one of them. And also no, I think it's going to be a while before carting around in Mario costumes catches the attention of the committee who do the picking for these places. The answer is 1. So the next question for you is, how many has Kyoto got? I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. The answer is 17. 17! So forgive me for pointing this out, but don't you think that maybe you need to get an MRI scan if you think that one day is enough to do Kyoto justice? Because 90% of people think 6 days in Tokyo and 1 in Kyoto is a good balance. And I say, you're smoking some pretty good stuff there. Care to pass that around? I mean, try 1 day in Tokyo and the rest in Kyoto, and I'll cancel the ambulance to the asylum. How's that? Or maybe I won't cancel it, I don't know. It rather depends on the last issue most of you have with your Japan plans, and honestly, this is the biggest trap of all. You've probably fallen into it already without even realising. This is when you listen to that voice saying, I have to see this place, or I have to eat at this restaurant, or I have to go to this theme park. Because I mean, do you really? Like, does your life depend on you hitting up those spots? And when I say life, I don't mean your Instagram, because the idea of a must-see is a complete myth. There is no police going around checking what you saw on your trip. I mean, who cares if you don't see the overrated, overblown, overcrowded spots overrun with overexcited tourists going completely over the top, getting over the legal limit of overexposed Insta-sham photos? I mean, get over yourself. Grow yourself a backbone and do your own thing. I've been to several must-see places where it took me ages to get there, only to find that it was about as disappointing and overhyped as the latest iPhone release. You're an adult, right? Why don't you go and prove it and craft your own adventure? Go do it, and I'll see you next time.